Good morning, gardening friends. It is 7:30, early in the morning, on Sunday, October 6th. It's nice and cool outside. It's in the low 70s. It is beautiful, and it's supposed to be beautiful this week, so I'll be doing more work in the backyard. This past week, I spent a lot of time in the backyard, planting some new flowers, cleaning stuff up, but there's still more to do. I put some of my cushions out this morning just to be a little more comfortable. My pitcher plants are doing fine. This one has sent up some little shoots. Hopefully it'll make it. I think I told you that the kittens were chomping on my horsetail. So what I did is I made a cage of chopsticks for the horsetail, and already it was only about 2 inches tall when I put the sticks in, and you can see they're already come up about 6 inches, so hopefully that'll be okay. My newly planted rosemary should do fine there. I used to have a huge rosemary plant, but it just catastrophically died this year. In fact, all of my rosemary looks pitiful this year, so I had to buy new. These are my species Amarillas. Hopefully they'll bloom. They're getting their leaves back. They lose their leaves in the summertime, and then they come back in the fall. This Nepenthes pitcher plant is really looking well. It looks like it's swamping this one Coleus. Not Coleus. Caladium. My rose-scented geranium is one of the last of the plants that I bought through the mail this year. It did well up until the heat of the summer, but it's still here. I tried taking cuttings from it, and I took 2 cuttings at different times, and neither cutting rooted. My cardboard palm is looking good. Uh-oh, my mandevilla is trying to latch on to it. I need to find a trellis for that mandevilla. And my golden chalice vine has a bud. It had one there, but I accidentally broke it off. I wanted to repot that this year, but I'll wait till after it blooms. I never got around to it. Here's some of my herbs. Thyme is doing well. Of course, that's new. I have found that one never has enough time. I do like to cook with it. And that is tarragon in that pot. That was one of the other herbs that I bought this year through the mail. It is coming back. The drought that it endured didn't do well by it. And I don't remember if I had that chrysanthemum last week or not, but I've been doing a lot of repotting, moving things in pots, getting rid of dead. There's a couple more chrysanthemums in pots. Here you can see the loropetalum is starting to bloom again. Here you can see where one of the kittens likes to sit. Other than that, the pot should look like that. I did buy boxwoods to put in those urns, but unfortunately I never got around to planting them, and they just dried right up. I've had an animal come in the backyard and dig up some of the lawn, so I don't know what to expect today. I do have my fountains going. I am going to limb up some of these palms this week. This is big trash week, and so there's going to be a major push of getting big stuff out of the backyard. It'll probably be the last time this fall that I do a major cleanup So especially since it's going to be cool this week, it'll be a perfect time to do some work. I will neaten up these Nandinas. But here you can see where something was digging, and as I was repotting, I got rid of the old potting soil by filling the holes. I did cut back the coleus here. They're a little more manageable in size now. And now you can really smell the flowers of the loquat. Let me see if I can get a close-up view. But all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my loquat trees are in bloom. Hopefully we'll have a batch of loquats this year. I did clean up the Serenoan repons last week, so at least you can pass around it now. For some reason, this particular Nandina seems to be suffering. There were 2 dead stalks associated with it that I got rid of. And something was digging here last night. Go ahead, I'll fill it in. Oh, the kittens are here. I see them running around. I went out last night late, about 9 o'clock, and these angel trumpets absolutely filled the backyard with scent. Very, very sweet. There's the peach. See if I can get a good shot of the pink. There's the pink. And I have white over there. We'll take a closer look at the white a little later. But I started working in this corner. I got rid of the succulents. I've not had luck with succulents in these pots and troughs. So I did have luck last year. I had an Alysum last all summer long, and actually I went to save it. And when I dug the trowel in, I realized then that its root was 6 inches away, and I just severed the only branch that was left. So I killed it. However, since it did well, I bought a bunch of Alysum this week, so you'll see more later. Alysum has a very sweet fragrance, but you don't usually notice it because it's bloomed so close to the ground. And I have some pink snapdragons I put in these pots. The lavender died. This one on this side was a little better, but they get too old and stubby and woody, and they eventually, or at least for me, they dry up and die. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this recently. Those of you that may be new, this tree in front of the angel's trumpet, right here, is a pecan. And believe it or not, this is its 2nd year. It started as a pecan nut that apparently a squirrel had stuck in the ground. So within 2 years, it is already over my head, starting from a nut. I will be cleaning up the fence this week, and I'll be cutting down that snowball viburnum in the corner. It got so tall that it's acting like a sail in the wind, and it's moving it around too much. So I will trim it down drastically. Here's the other white angel's trumpet. This was in the pot last year, a pot last year on my deck. If you keep them moist, they'll do well. They do flop. The leaves get limp when they'll let you know when they need water. My yellow knockout rose is blooming. I wish you could smell these because the rose smells lemony. The angel's trumpets, they put out their scent at night. So right now you can barely smell them. Loquats, they smell day and night. So there are all kinds of scents in my backyard. The bananas have really taken over back there. I don't know how they thrive in nature though, because the leaves are so thick. that it's hard to water them. I have to get underneath the leaves in order to water them. You would think that it's screening out its own water supply. I did replant this strawberry pot. Last week you saw one strawberry at the top, and I went ahead and got a couple more. I don't want to fill the whole pot that way because those strawberries are like $5 a piece, and I don't plan on spending that much for something that may die. So I wanted something with a little bit of green there, so I figured 2 more will do. And in the spring I'll get the bare root strawberries and fill it in that way. Ferns are very lush. I've had to clean them out of the monkey grass. In fact, that's the primary thing I've been doing this week, is cleaning back stuff from the monkey grass, like this wandering dude. There you can see mama and baby, one of the babies. I didn't name the kittens yet. This area, I started a little bit by getting rid of some of the dead. I am going to get rid of this boxwood this week and dig up one from the far corner back in there where we just were. There are a couple that are buried in the other shrubberies, so I'm going to bring one of the boxwoods out here. And this is the week we're getting rid of this first banana because it's really impinging on the crepe myrtle. And I was going to do it 2 weeks ago, the last time we had big trash pickup. But unfortunately, this windmill palm died. And so we're going to cut it down as well. When I bought these 2 windmills, they were the same size. And they were like a V shape, which is why I bought it. And in any event, so basically they started at the same size, but you can see that one has taken over, and it must be stealing all of the nutrients, although I feed them quite regularly. But windmill palms also do have a lifetime, and it's been about 25 years, so it may just be time for it to go. I did buy a new bougainvillea. I've had 2, one there and one here. Well, the one there had died, and this one was good, but since I bought a new bougainvillea, it was much more lush, so I put it in the more prominent position. Turns out it's pretty much the same color. So it looks kind of good, and I trimmed some of the Satsuma away from it because it had swamped over that the one that had died, the bougainvillea. The Satsumas are starting to ripen. There is some orange that's appearing. Let's see if I can get a close-up. I don't know if you can tell that that's orange, but I can't wait to harvest them and have these trees pop back up again. But back to the bougainvillea, it is gorgeous, and of course it has thorns. You do have to be careful. The thorns are on the stems. These are old flowers. And fortunately for me, of course, I had got the bougainvillea from a different supplier this year, and it had a different color pot. And so I took the old bougainvillea out of the pot it was in, and it turned out it absolutely fit perfectly. So at least I have a matching pair. That's the problem when you get pairs of stuff. If one dies, you're kind of stuck. Here's where I put more of the Alysum. I redid my signature garden. Succulents just didn't do well between the birds and the cats. And this is the one that had the Alysum that lived through the summer. So I'm hoping that some of these will make it. And planted en masse like this is, when you sit in this chair, you can actually smell the Alysum. Here you can see the yellow pansies. I put them in last week. And I replaced my rosemary topiary. It took me a while to find another rosemary plant that had branched out like a tree. It had other branches around the base. but I went ahead and cut all the other branches off, so I'm trying to make another topiary and another batch of thyme. I have 3 spots for thyme, and far apart, and hopefully one will live, because I do like to use thyme. I can hear this bed still looks good, and something's been the mother cat I call Dee Dee. The babies I haven't given names to yet. Here you can see what happens when animals come in the backyard. The raccoons like to dig up stuff in the yard and then wash it in that bowl, so I need to change the water at some point. This Satsuma tree is really splayed out. It's got lots and lots of fruit. I did trim some up from the ground so you could walk underneath it, and it'll let me clean up some of the bushes and things this week. Here I've got buds on my camellias. All of my camellias are showing promise, which is good. Oh, I planted some snapdragons in these pots. I think I'm going to move them because they're kind of tucked now. Things have grown up around them, and I think I'll move those pots, maybe put them over here on either side of the mandevilla, and they'll show off a little better. I got those pots at Hobby Lobby at the end of season. My first choice wouldn't be a pot that has camouflage painted on it, but I think I only gave but $2 or $3 a piece for them, and I thought, you know, I can always paint them. I did trim up this trellis, but I left the holy air potato there, because at least it's something growing up there. I've kind of given up on keeping the bugs off. These are the offending insects. The hummingbirds don't seem to like this particular feeder. The old feeder I had next to each spigot where they would drink, it had like a little roost, and they preferred, I guess, to stand on that roost. But I have seen them use this feeder, but they're not drinking as much as they used to. That was the only feeder I could find when the other one broke. This angel's trumpet is coming along nicely. It's now reached up into the sun. I think there are little buds forming. It's a peach color. I hear a truck somewhere off in the distance. Someone must be getting cement delivered or something today. This garden still looks good. This is Kimberly fern. My toad lilies are in bloom. And this ivy has still died. I'm thinking what I may do, since the other ivies are still showing life, is I may lose this center obelisk and move that one tall holly that I have in the front yard, one of the pair of which had died. So that would get rid of that holly and potentially put it there. It's a little bit taller than the obelisks, but I think it's the same general idea, and I think it would look fine. Here's the last of my lavenders. It's doing well. This mandevilla is fine. My agave still doing fine. It looks like, since I cut the dead out and really started extra watering this rosemary, it looks like I see a lot of green coming up on the stems remaining. So we may have resuscitated this one. Again, there's another thyme. Over here, everything looks well. My African iris, these things have not bloomed this year. None of them did, or none of them bloomed. Don't know why. They did bloom last year. My Australian tree fern is still sending up shoots. No activity in the potager this week, other than plants growing. I did cut back this basil, and it looks like it's sprouting a couple of sprigs. This is Thai basil. Chrysanthemums are starting to open. I purposely got tightly closed buds so they would last longer. So it's basically just maintaining, which is fine. I do need to get something for that spot because I want to lose more of the wandering dude. I'll tell you one plant that has done well this year is my ginger. I bought a hand of ginger in the local grocery store, right there, and planted it, and it sprouted up nicely. Took a while, but it did sprout up. And here, these flowers are still looking okay. The green that's sticking out of the fence right there is marjoram. And I use marjoram, so I will use it rather than just cut it out. I'll cut it out and use it. But I have no need for it yet. More of the dianthus. And here's a red colored loropetalum versus the bright pink in the backyard. I did trim back my bananas again to keep them open from the street. Here's where I wound up putting the lantana that was in the pots by the garage where the pansies are now. I put one there and the other one there. They like hot, dry locations. Here you can see I cleaned up my bananas again. The lantanas like hot, dry locations, so they ought to like it here. But as you can tell by the size of them, they're not the trailing ones that I was sold. It looks like they'll grow about 2 to 3 feet high, but they were supposed to be trailing. So they wouldn't really make good pot plants. I have to keep my little watering can there because the lantana are beyond reach of my hose. So when I bring the hose out to do watering, I can fill that up and go over there and water the lantana. Back in here all looks well. The flower buds are starting to appear on my cassia. It looks like I need to stake my cassia a little. It's leaning a little bit. It does get tall and floppy and will bend in the wind. This is the holly I was talking about. I lost one of the pair, and so this one is kind of in the way over here, so I think I'll try to relocate that where that middle obelisk is. Possibly even cut it the same size as the other obelisks. Back in here all is well. Let's see how the figs are doing. They're still there, not turning black yet, so they're not quite ripe. We did get rain, by the way. First time it rained in probably a month or so. We got about 3/4 of an inch yesterday, which was beautiful. It was welcomed. My ponytail palm likes its summer outing. Back in here, not much happened last week other than the camellias are still growing. Lots and lots of buds, which is good. So I should have a good camellia show this year. This is my favorite camellia. It has a few buds on it. It's high fragrance. It's one that smells, it has a fragrance, and its name is high fragrance. What is going on by my fence back there? Oh my God, there's a big hole. I'm gonna have to put a rock or something. I don't know if you can see way back in there. That is how the raccoons and things get in my backyard. There you can see a rock next to an old hole. Oh well. Can't stop Mother Nature. Back in here, like I say, all is pretty much as it was last week. Thank God, although a few more weeds have grown. The good thing about established gardens is they're full of stuff. So if you do get weeds, they don't really stick out like a sore thumb. They kind of just blend in with the plants. And my crepe myrtle has a few blossoms. The bananas need a clean up again. This time of the year, for some reason, the bananas yellow quite a lot. And you don't have to take the yellow out, but as you can tell here, when they do yellow, the yellow really attracts your attention. So I do like to keep them clean. And here is the cycad. These leaves are now about 3 foot tall. I've got to cut the leaves away from the house. I don't like them to brush against the house. And there's my Halloween decorations. That cycad stayed nice and green this year. It did well. But there you have it for today. I hope you all get to go out in your gardens and enjoy them. They are much more than just for working in. Here you can see this Shasanqua is just full of bud. This should be the first plant to bloom. But enough about my stuff. Again, have a good week, and I will see you next Sunday. Take care.